Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tip of the Ice-Burgh podcast, your home for Pittsburgh Penguins news and analysis. And we have some unfortunate news for the Pittsburgh Penguins to kick off this week. Defenseman Marcus Pettersson is deemed out week to week with a lower body injury, according to head coach Mike Sullivan. The news coming down just a few hours ago from UPMC Lemieux Sports Complex as the Penguins took the ice for practice. Pettersson left Saturday night's game in the first period after awkwardly colliding into the boards up in Ottawa. Did not return to that game, and now we have the news that he will miss a week or more of the Pittsburgh Penguins schedule dealing with that lower body injury. So what does that mean for the Pittsburgh Penguins? What are they missing with Marcus Pettersson out of the lineup? I think it's fair to say that they are missing, undoubtedly, their best defensive defenseman, bar none. He is leading all Penguins defensemen this year at 5-on-5 in expected goals percentage, in scoring chances for percentage, in high danger chances for percentage. You get the picture. They're missing their best defenseman at 5-on-5 and on the penalty kill as well. That is going to be a massive piece to all of this, is who steps up for Marcus Pettersson on the man disadvantage, as he has been the leader, not just among defensemen, but the leader among all Penguin skaters in shorthanded ice time with just over 90 on the season. So Pettersson out week to week, it leaves a giant hole. How do they fill that hole? Right? Because when you look at what Pettersson does and what he does best, it's kind of neutralize the volatility of the guys that he's on the ice with. A lot of the time, that's Erik Karlsson. Some of the time, that's Kris Letang. And what Pettersson is, as Mike Sullivan stated earlier in his comments about Pettersson, is he's a stabilizing force. This is the full quote of what Mike Sullivan had to say about Pettersson following the announcement of his injury. Quote, "He's a tough guy to replace on our group at defense back there. He's a stabilizing defenseman no matter what pair we put him with. He just has a real conscientious game on both sides of the puck." The offensive side of the puck has kind of grown since Erik Karlsson has come. Obviously, Pettersson put up 30 points last year, which was a career high, and he was continuing that offensive increase this year as well. But now that he's out, it's going to be on the shoulders of two veterans and a very, very, very young Owen Pickering, specifically on Owen Pickering. Pickering came up into the NHL, a little bit of a surprise a couple of weeks ago, and has looked really good in his opportunity. But then a few games back, I believe it was 4 games ago, he gets put up onto that first pairing, and they say, all right, let's see if he can handle a little bit more responsibility. Well, this is going to expedite that responsibility tremendously. With Marcus Pettersson out of the lineup, it's going to be on Owen Pickering to kind of help pick up that slack. Yes, they're going to turn to Matt Grzelcyk, who was paired with Erik Karlsson at practice earlier today, but they're going to turn to Owen Pickering particularly to likely be that top penalty-killing defenseman for the Pittsburgh Penguins. So a lot of pressure on the shoulders of the 20-year-old blue liner. It'll be interesting to see what he does with that pressure. Is he able to shine through it, which he's been doing so far in his young NHL career? Or is it going to become a little bit too much too fast, which is also something you have to be concerned about with losing a player the caliber of Marcus Pettersson, who eats up a lot of minutes for the Pittsburgh Penguins. But outside of Pickering, you're looking at Matt Grzelcyk. Matt Grzelcyk moving back into the top 4 for the first time in a handful of games, which is interesting. I'm not sure they trust Ryan Graves to put him up there. They didn't at the beginning of the season. They wanted him to gain a little bit more confidence, and instead, he played better and ended up being benched for a handful of games. Recently, he's gotten back into the lineup, but they still don't trust him enough to move him into the top 4. So, a la Matt Grzelcyk, Erik Karlsson pairing, which is already giving me nightmares. We'll see what ends up happening with it. Tomorrow is the first test against a pretty good Los Angeles Kings team, a team that, if I'm not mistaken, is very good when it comes to playing on the road. The last time they visited Pittsburgh, was that Jaromir Jagr retirement game. Okay, they're very good at home, okay on the road. I had it backwards. They're 8-7-2 on the road are the LA Kings, but it's still going to be a very massive test to see how Matt Grzelcyk and Erik Karlsson look with extended playing time together. Grzelcyk has struggled with Kris Letang. He has struggled with Ryan Graves. He's really just struggled all in all this season. We'll see what he's able to do when he's given an extended opportunity to play alongside Erik Karlsson. If there is a silver lining in this, and this is how I'll close this episode, if there is a silver lining in this, and it is a very small one, but one nonetheless, is that the Pittsburgh Penguins have a small bit of relief coming up in their schedule. They have the game tonight. They have a couple more games leading into the holiday break, but then they do get 4 days off in the middle of next week. If this Marcus Pettersson injury is something where they're saying it is truly week to week, meaning we will reevaluate at the beginning of next week and so on and so forth, potential for him to come back in the near future, then that's good because they have that extended break for the holidays. If this is a 3 to 4 week or more, this silver lining goes out the window because while they do have that break next week, 4 days off, it's followed up with 3 games in 4 days to close out the 2024 portion of the schedule, and then 14 games in the month of January, with a majority of those games coming on the road, including a 7-game road trip to close out the month and to send them into the month of February and and the Four Nations face-off. So if it is a week-to-week proposition where he's going to miss the next handful of days, then get back onto the ice and try to work his way back, that's a silver lining because they do have a break in the schedule coming up next week. If this is truly a 3-week, 1 month, 6-week type of injury, the Penguins are going to be in some very hot water going forward on the left side of their defense. And I'm not quite sure, maybe not Owen Pickering, because Pickering has exceeded my expectations. I'm not sure how Matt Grzelcyk is going to hold up in the top 4, and I'm not sure how Ryan Graves is going to hold up playing next to Ryan Shea for an extended period of time. But at the end of the day, the news is the news. Marcus Pettersson out week to week with a lower body injury. The Penguins are going to have to deal with that as they move forward and continue to try climbing back up the NHL standings. But that's going to do it for this episode of The Tip of the Ice-Burgh. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this one. Remember, you can find us on YouTube at Tip of the Ice-Burgh. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, tell all your friends, or you can catch us anywhere you get your podcasts from. We'll see you guys next time.